Team, good morning. Apologies for the lateness. I was sat in a slightly different Zoom room, all on my own, thinking, God, what have I done to upset people? Surely we've not got a Monday morning Zoom and absolutely no one's here, but I'd opened just a random Zoom room, not the personal room link. So I did realise after about 3 minutes and went back and tried it. So a couple of things today. One's a kind of personal insight from this week, and one's a big insight from weeks gone past, and then two kind of key points that have come out in the emails that you guys have sent, which are recurring things across a lot of people. So the biggest first insight is you'll never work out of your own self-beliefs. You'll never move past your limiting beliefs. You'll never move past your opinion of yourself. You'll never move past what you think is achievable. Because if you don't, this is the absolute reality, right? You won't even try. It's not that you can't do something, it's that you believe you can't do something. And because you believe you can't do it, that is what keeps you stuck, because you then think, well, what's the point of even trying? Like, if I think I can't run a mile, why am I going to try and run a mile and even take any action? Because I already think I can't do it. So there would be absolutely no point in doing it. And we have to change these thoughts. And a personal one is for me, this is actually quite embarrassing, guys, right? But I don't mind embarrassing myself for the greater good. So for 6 weeks now, and it's still a very frustrating situation, 7 weeks. We're going around in circles. There's no solution. The MRI has come back as abnormal. There is a disc problem. We don't really know what the outcome's going to be. But essentially, it's going to be one of either two things. One's either going to be an operation, or the other one's going to be just learn to deal with it, Lee. This is going to be your life for the foreseeable future. So I actually hope it's the operation, because, you know, with the way this is, I've had another morning I've knocked about 5 things over because I just keep forgetting. And it's impossible to do weights. But we shall see. Now, what's happened personally, and I need to thank AJ for pointing it out to me last week. So, you know, even I've very much gone into victim mindset. You know, I've spent a lot of time talking about the same thing that I can't change. I haven't gone into the blame mindset, because there's no one to blame for it. But I've spent a lot more time talking about what I can't do rather than focusing on what I can do. Now, a perfect example is I'm very much used to lifting weights, and I can't lift weights. I'm very much used to running, and I can't run. I'm very much used to doing plyometric work, pull-ups, crunches, press-ups, body weight stuff. Can't do any of that. Now, it actually took AJ to point out, what about recumbent cycling? What about sitting on a bike? What about some very light leg work? So actually, there are things that I can have been doing training-wise if I'd not been so busy talking about the things that I haven't been able to do. So I felt good as a result of it, but actually gave myself a massive kick up the arse on Wednesday, I think it was last week. Well, you can't lift weights, Lee, but you can go for a walk every morning. Have you been doing that? No. You can't lift weights, Lee, but you can go and sit on a bike for 30 minutes every day. Have you been doing that, Lee? No. Why not? Too busy talking about and feeling sorry for myself over what I can't do. And we have to understand this and focus on, the mind will always go back there, guys, right? It's impossible. We have to understand the human brain is like a naughty dog. If you don't train it for 7 days, it's going to start to regress. Or like a naughty child. If you don't tell it what to do, or give it some form of direction, it's just going to do what it wants. And, you know, we also have to understand that we have to take responsibility for our own actions as well, and our own beliefs. And So often when we get a little bit down in the dumps, we get a little bit pissed off. We've gone into this place where I said, you know, I've been for a while, and we start looking at this phrase, and I hear it all the time. What is it that's not working for me? Well, there's nothing that's not working for you. You've just stopped doing what was working. You've started behaving a different way to the way you were behaving. You've started running a different mental behavioral pattern to the one that you were admitting. So very often then what we do, this is when people start to look for new. I need a new mentor, I need a new plan, I need a new coach, I need a new diet plan, I need a new training plan, I need a new insert the thing that you've already had 1,000 times before. And it's not about new, it's about figuring out what you've stopped doing that was working before. You know, if you've pretty much had 4 to 5 weeks off and, you know, haven't trained optimally, and it's been the summer holidays and you've been away and you've been on a few holidays and you've been eating quite a bit of crap and you've been drinking most days, of course you're going to feel different. Of course you're going to have gained weight. Of course you're not going to feel the same as you were when you were doing the things before. If you've had an injury and you've not been able to lift weights for 6 to 7 weeks, you've not been able to run, of course I'm going to feel different to how I felt before. But that doesn't mean that what wasn't working before wasn't working. And we have to look internally here, right? If you're not dropping body fat, you're not in a calorie deficit. Case fucking closed. End of. Or you haven't been in a calorie deficit for long enough. Like, that is the same for me. It's the same for every person in this group. But our heads get so messed up. Oh, I've had 3 good weeks, so I should look like a fitness model. I've had 3 bad weeks. I've not lost anything. I don't understand why. It must be my plan. You know, we have to look internally, because it's so easy on the ego that success can be bought, that success can happen because it's someone else's fault, that success can happen because I need new, because success can happen because I need different. Rather than actually going, internally, what's wrong here? Why am I the problem? What have I stopped doing? What have I started doing? Well, I stopped focusing on the exercise that I could do, and I started spending too much time moaning about what I couldn't do. That's it. That's me. I was the problem. It wasn't the injury. The injury's not great. It's not ideal. It's very, very not ideal. But it's not the problem. The problem is how I responded to it and the speed that I took to respond to it. And until you can say that, you'll struggle to move forward. Hang on, Lee, you're the issue here. You can't change the injury. You coach people every day on how to focus on what you can do and what you can control, and they'll feel strong and empowered. And if you focus on what you can't do and what you can't control, you'll feel weak, helpless, disempowered, fall into learned hopelessness and play the victim, aka a big part of my life for the last 7 weeks. Then you're never going to feel great. So we have to look closer to home. We have to look internally. Now, the final thing that I'm going to bring up, well, not the final thing, but a big thing that's been a trend throughout all of your emails, and I haven't even read them all yet, picking bits out of each one to put into each training. This other people's opinions thing is coming up again, isn't it? Time and time and time and time again. You know, quote, I've realized I need to let go of certain people in my life. Or this relentlessly recurring theme of 10 plus people who are still worried about other people's opinions about them not drinking alcohol, and are taking a long time to get to that point of not giving a fuck. That's actually not what it's about. It's not about not giving a fuck. Okay? Everybody cares what people think about them. I don't care what anyone says. It holds many people back to a much higher level where they will never live the life that they want because they're over obsessed with fitting in. They're over obsessed with not being different. They're over obsessed with not being authentic. They're over obsessed with being liked. People pleasing. And will live their entire lives not being true to themselves and wondering why they always have chaos in their head. And wondering why, as a result, they always have chaos in their outside world. Because deep down, if we look at what influences 90% of our thoughts, behaviors, and actions the most, it's our environment. And here's how I want you to start to reframe it to let go of these negative people that you keep talking about. You keep bringing them up. You keep having an opinion on them. You keep judging them. You keep having an inappropriate need for certainty for their pictures to fit in with your world. And you need to just get numb to it. Like, you have to understand this, right? If you say to a quote unquote friend, yes, Jan, I'm happy to come to that event on Saturday, but I'm going to drive and not drink. And that friend either cancels the event or starts giving it all of the, oh, what's the fucking point in coming, Jan, if you're not going to have a drink? Oh, you're going to be a right laugh if you're not going to have a drink. Why don't you like drinking? You're not fun anymore. Oh, you're no fun when you don't have a drink. You need to first realise that, one, maybe you haven't been clear enough to them on the reasons why you're doing it. And you have to understand this, right? If you've been out with a friend, maybe every other weekend on and off for the last 10 years, and every time you've gone out, you've consumed alcohol, and then all of a sudden you say, I'm not drinking, with no explanation, that's the big part, no explanation, then it really isn't difficult to see why they're a bit like, what? It's a bit like me all of a sudden telling you guys that I'm stopping training, that I'm stopping doing the mindset sessions, that we're not doing events anymore. We're not doing lives. I'm getting rid of the WhatsApp group. You'd be like, what? So you can understand their response. And that's where you have to understand your emotional intelligence has to be at one, understanding their response, but two, then calmly explaining to them why. That's the point where people are missing out. You're not explaining to them why you're not drinking. You're not explaining to them why you've chosen to drive. Maybe because you're a bit embarrassed. Maybe because you are still swimming around and being obsessed by goop, which is the good opinion of other people. Maybe you've not internally dealt with the fact that you give too much of a shit about what other people think about you. Bring it back to you. That's how you solve the problem. Yeah, I'm going to drive, I'm not drinking. Oh, really? Yeah, you see, the thing is, I've just realised, Jan, I've been drinking every week, pretty much every weekend on and off for the last year. I've gained nearly 3 stone. I've wasted a load of money. I'm borderline depressed. I eat shit every night when I get in and I'm gaining weight. I'm a terrible role model to my kids the next day. I don't have any energy. I don't want to do anything with them. And I just sit there, a fat fucking hungover, drunken disgrace of a parent with no energy. And I don't want that life anymore. And that's the reason why I'm doing it. It's also destroying my mental health. I feel stressed and anxious at work on a Monday and I don't sleep very well. So I've made these decisions to move my life forwards. Now, I don't have any judgment on whether you choose to still drink or not. As I said, I'd love to come on Saturday and I'm going to drive. Could you please, as my friend, please just do the same for me and respect my decision, and also understand that I have absolutely no qualms in coming and watching you get absolutely shit-faced all night. In fact, I'll even film you and send it to you tomorrow, and one day you might make the same decision as me. But is that okay with you? Is that cool? That's the part that's not happening. What's happening is you're telling someone what you're doing, they're reacting negatively to it, you're not explaining why, and that's the end of conversation. It's a simple explanation, and people, again, who have done that for so long, they won't understand why you're not drinking. They won't understand why you're not going out, because you haven't explained it to them. So sometimes it's just about explaining it to them carefully. Like I used when I did Ibiza sober, I used that analogy time and time and time again. God, you're not having any tonight? No, why not? What's wrong with you? That's the one I go back to. Someone actually said, put a key of cocaine under my nose, and I said, no, I'm all right, thank you. Why? What's wrong with you? That's how in their world they are. There must be something physically wrong with you. And as I said when I explained it, because I'll end up doing 3 bags, staying up all night, completely ruin my life, being a terrible parent, and when it comes Monday morning, I'll be suicidal and it'll destroy my mental health for a week. So based on that, I'm not doing any of that stuff anymore, because that's the way it makes me feel. Is that cool with you? Yeah, cool, yeah, fucking hell. All right, mate, calm down. I'm calm. I'm just explaining to you why I'm not doing it. If you choose to, that's cool. I'll happily just still sit in this room, but that's why I'm not. Cool? Yeah, cool. Just see how you've actually explained the reasons why, rather than just, right, I'm stopping this. And the worst thing is, sometimes then people don't only tell everyone that they're stopping what they're doing. We've all done this, by the way. They then become very judgmental about the people who are still doing it. Well, if you still want to carry on getting pissed every weekend, no. Cut that. You're then judging them like they're judging you. Let them continue. And if that's all your entire friendship was based on, as I said, it wasn't a friendship to start with. It was an alcohol friend, a drug friend, a weekend friend. It's not real friendship. And if it was, they would have said, yeah, cool, I'll support you. If they don't, and they get funny about it, and then they go and bitch about you with the other girls, then you've just cleansed your friendship group up. So well done. But so 2 things on that. 1, like try and loosen your need to be okay with whether they agree or not. If you're going to make some changes in your life, tell your close friends why you're making them, not just that you're making them. Don't then judge them on the changes that they're not making. But if then the changes are negative and they keep saying it and it's time and time and time again, it's time to change. Hands up if you'd love a brand new car. Hands up if you'd love a brand new 7-bedroomed house. Hands up if you'd love a brand new villa in Ibiza. Hands up if you'd love 4 weeks off work in a water bungalow in the Maldives. I can't see half of you, but I'm guessing everyone's going to put their hands up. Now, the reality is, most of those things aren't going to happen for most of us, certainly in the next couple of years. But what are you in charge of? What's the most influential thing in your life? Your environment and your peer group. And it costs you nothing. So we have 2 sides, right? We've discussed this before. We have our inner environment, which is our internal beliefs in our head. And we have our outer environment, which is our peer group. It actually costs you less money to go and hang around with winners who don't drink and don't want to go out, who have life goals and businesses and want to go to the gym and want to get ripped and want to have the best time, than it does to hang out with the others. So we've done mindless questions on taking care of the inner world. But the biggest influential factor on who you are is the people that you surround yourself with. The fastest way to make the changes in your life that you want is the people that you surround yourself with. It's why you guys love the elite WhatsApp group so much. It's why you love the meetups. It's why everyone will have an amazing time on Saturday. And it really is the secret to success. So if this is happening in your life, people are being negative towards you making changes to live a healthier, happier life, celebrate it. Be grateful for it, because they're highlighting the changes that you need to make. So you can stay with the low energy, low quality, no goals group, or for free, you can go to the group that don't want to do all of that stuff, the group that want to see you win, the group that have goals, the groups that want to go wild water swimming, that want to go hiking, that no longer value, sitting in a pub getting drunk and then sitting in a kitchen until whatever o'clock on Sunday or Monday, if it was like me. This is the secret to success. So they are actually helping you. If you're telling people about your new goals, your new missions, you not drinking, your new plans, your new fitness plan, the fact that you want to, and then, aren't you coming to the pub anymore then? No, I'm not. Thanks for reminding me what I want isn't going to work in this peer group. Like I said, you don't see shredded millionaires with great bodies and great businesses sitting around in McDonald's and going for a fucking spliff afterwards, do you? They're with other millionaires. They're with other people that are in great shape. They go to the gym. They have different values, different beliefs, different goals. And they choose to spend time around those people. Dan Peña's famous quote, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. So if your friends are trying to pull you back, celebrate the fact that, they've just shown me that group's not right for me anymore, and be willing to let go of it. And don't feel bad about it. But deep down as well, I think some of you use it as an excuse. I'm going to be really honest with you. I don't think it's sometimes. It's not really that the friends are going to have that much of a negative reaction. And by the way, if this is you, you need to fucking own it right now. Stop being a pussy. It's the fact that you actually still really want to go to the pub. If you were honest, if you looked me straight in the eyes now, Jeremy Kyle fucking style, with the lie detector test on, says, is the reason that you're really not upset and ended up going on Saturday because you were worried that Janet had an opinion about you not drinking, or actually deep down you still wanted to go, so you used Janet having an opinion as the reason why you went? That's you get clear on it. But this is where we need to be, and celebrate that as well. If your new healthy goals, your new healthy life, your new mission, your new vision, your new future, and all of these things is triggering the shit out of people in your own peer group, then celebrate it. Because they've just shown you, this isn't the right place for me anymore. Time to move. I want the new life. I want the new car. I want the new people. And get around people with the right energy. Honestly, your peer group is absolute a necessity to nail in your life. Like I said, you can't hang around with people, but hanging around with and being friends with is two very different things. I'm still friends with lots of people that take drugs every weekend. I just don't spend any time with them. I'm still friends with a lot of the rugby lads on Facebook. I love them to bits. If you watch this, lads, I love you. But I'm not going to spend time with them and neck pints and pour empty pint glasses over my head with my pants around my ankles in a fucking clubhouse every Saturday night. It's not for me. It doesn't align with my goals. It doesn't align with my future. It doesn't align with who I want to be. That doesn't mean that they're not my friends. But if they then don't want to be friends as a result of me not wanting to do something that makes me feel uncomfortable, then they have shown that they weren't really friends to start with. Because all the ones that are real friends, I'm still friends with them. We still have Facebook messages. They don't give a shit whether I go to the festival or not. They don't care whether I go to the next piss up or not. Because they're proper friends. Does that make sense? And you'll never be able to rise above the quality of your peer group. But also, when it does happen, the biggest thing I want you to take away from today is also not judging them. Because they're just being them. You can dig into it and it is really bad, right? Because you have to imagine this. Let's say, I'm not going to say any names because it's wrong, but I've worked with multiple full-blown alcoholics. Either not had any help, out of AA, or straight out of rehab. In fact, Pete won't mind me mentioning him. So when Pete came straight out of rehab as an alcoholic, would all his friends have been going, come on, Pete, come and have a drink? Yes or no? Yes, Ali. I'd hope not. They're pretty bad friends. In fact, alcoholics experience the opposite. So people don't invite them to anything anymore because they're afraid they'll have a drink and it'll be their fault. They literally, I've spoken to so many alcoholics and they're like, it's really annoying because I still want to go to that wedding, or I still want to go to that event, and I still want to go to that, and I know I'm an alcoholic and I know I won't drink and that's my responsibility, but people are afraid to ask me, so I no longer have any friendship group because no one invites me on anything because they're an alcoholic and they're afraid if I go I'll have a drink and then it'll be their fault. So it's just the same thing but different. It's just explaining to them, listen, right, if I was an alcoholic, you wouldn't offer me a drink. Anyone who offers a known alcoholic a drink is a serious arsehole, aren't they? So it's just explaining to them, listen, I'm not an alcoholic, but alcohol is really affecting my life in a way that I don't like. And when I don't drink, I look, feel and perform better. So really, 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 as my friend, appreciate it if you just support me on that. Is that cool? Like, their reaction will be so different to the reaction that you guys are getting. And it's because you're just telling them what you're doing, not why you are doing it. And who knows, once you explain the reason why, and you keep explaining the benefits and the positive parts, without judging them on staying the way they are, if that's the way they choose, guess what? The more you'll see them gravitate towards you, the more pull you'll have, the more they'll be like, oh, actually, do you know what, Ali? That sounds pretty cool and you're looking fucking great and your life's on fire. Do you know what? It's that classic phrase, isn't it? First of all, they'll ask you why you're doing it. And then when they see the results, they'll start asking you how you did it. Can you help me? Actually, yeah, this is what I want too. But we can't try and force them. We can't try and drag them. This is in all areas of life. We can't force people. We can't drag people. And we also can't judge them for staying the same if that's what they choose. Guys, I hope that has been helpful this morning. Start Monday strong. Start Monday focused. Focus on you. Final insights for this week. Try and let go the need for anyone to agree with you. For anyone to be okay with any of your decisions. For anyone to be okay with anything that you're doing. Just be you. Be authentic. Don't go swimming around in goop. And like I say, if you are still facing these situations, which many of you are, either in your relationships or external, The biggest advice I can give you is never just tell people what you are doing. If you're making changes, explain to them why they are doing it, so then they'll understand. Guys, I love you all. See you on Thursday.